Hello YouTube, Dave here again. I wanted to do another discussion-based video. I've really been enjoying this series so far. I've got two of them that I've done in the past. One was on Tales of the Yawning Portal. The one I did, I think, a week or so ago now at this point, was the idea of DMs charging players to play. And again, I really enjoyed reading all of your guys' comments. I can't, express enough how appreciative I am of people that take the time and to do the comments. And honestly, those two videos got amazing amounts of responses. That said, the last video had a couple of exchanges that did become a little more heated than I was comfortable with. A couple of exchanges where I was actually about to step in before one of the individuals involved simply said that they were, not going to be responding anymore. So if you're that individual, and I'm not going to name any names, but if you're that individual, I just want to say I do apologize. I want people to obviously kind of discuss things and maybe even debate, but I don't really want things to turn into full-fledged arguments. So I just want this to be sort of something that's lighthearted in nature and just a fun way to discuss various ideas with you guys and allow you to discuss some of these ideas with each other. So that said, like I said, this week I want to do something that is, again, really sort of on the lighthearted side, but I think it's going to be kind of interesting to hear what you guys have to say about this. And this is the idea of dice and dice rituals, superstitions, practices, things along those lines. So I've got all my dice here, and I just thought I'll just kind of show off some of the various sets here first. And I got some down here as well. In total, I've counted 30 sets. That's actually lower than I thought. So I think what happened is there were some sets in the past that I have given away to friends or family so that they could kind of begin their D&D journey. So I thought I had around 33 or 34. So I'm actually lower than I thought. So at some point I'm going to have to go and pick up some more dice. Now, the reason I have so many dice is, I honestly believe that you can never have enough dice. I mean, I love collecting dice. I love the different color variations that you can find, some of the different patterns that you can find, things like, these ones that have kind of like the swirl pattern on them. And of course, some of my favorites are the, I guess they were called elementals. If I can get it to focus there. So it's just kind of the speckled dice. And even some of like the matte ones or the translucent ones are really cool as well. One of my earlier sets was called Smoke. And if it'll focus here, I don't know how well it's going to show up in the video, but it's actually, try it with the D6 maybe a little bit clearer. It's actually translucent, so you can see kind of in behind it. And it's just really cool. But that also got me to thinking. I consider myself to be a pretty, level-headed, analytical kind of person. I don't really consider myself to be superstitious. Like I don't worry about like breaking mirrors. I mean, the worst thing about breaking mirrors is having to clean it up, in my opinion. So stuff like that has just never really bothered me. But I find that when it comes to dice, I have these little rituals or almost superstitions, you could call them, that I never really realized until I kind of sat back and really thought about it. So for example, here are my first two ever sets of dice. And I can remember very vividly getting these. This one I bought myself back in the summer of 1999. And this set my mother gave me for Christmas in my Christmas sock. So two really important sets here. And with these ones, the D6s, each set, this is back when they came with free standard, they each had a silver D6, but they also had two other ones of different colors that didn't match any of the other ones. So for years and years, this red, black, gold, and green dice were the only dice that I would use for rolling up my characters. They tended to roll pretty decent stats. So I really enjoyed them, but I didn't use them for any other purpose, and I wouldn't let anybody else use them. The reason that they're in these tubes now is that after, 17, 18 years of loyal service, I've decided, and again, this is one of those things that sounds kind of weird to a non-gamer, but I've decided to retire these dice, and they're now just basically display pieces. You never know, the time may come when I decide to break them out again. This isn't the original tube that they came in. Those tubes were long since destroyed, but I had a couple kicking around and they fit in there perfectly. So again, I ended up, like I said, retiring these recently, and I just like to have them in the tubes on display. Now, one of the other things that, I've kind of noticed is that when I'm running a game, I tend to have about 3 or 4 sets of dice that I have, behind the DM screen when I'm running. And I didn't realize this, but subconsciously I was actually separating them kind of into piles like what I have here. So I would pour them out, and I would always, and again, I didn't even realize this until like the last time I played, and I really looked down and was like, huh, I didn't realize I was doing this. But I would separate the dice by type, and I would pick one dominant version of a set of dice that I was going to use for the game. Now, they usually end up being these ones down here. These ones are kind of my favorite. This is the third set of dice that I ever bought, or ever owned. I should say the second set I ever bought, but the third set that I ever owned. And I've always really liked these dice, and this is the one that I typically use the most when I'm running. And that goes for everything. So not only the D20, but if I have to roll any of the other dice in the set, then I tend to stick with that one. Other things, so those are kind of my my superstitions, like having certain dice dedicated for one specific purpose and nothing else. I've got some dice that I have solely for players to use, so I'll never use them personally. They're just for people that don't necessarily have their own set of dice, and these are like these red ones and these blue ones are 2 sets of dice that I have solely for the purpose of letting other people use. Every once in a while, I'll also rotate out a set from my like the dice bag I tend to use when I'm running is this red one, which is smaller of the two. Like I've got a bigger green one, which holds more obviously, but this is the one that I tend to have all my dice in that I use for a game. And every once in a while, I will take a set that I maybe haven't used in a while, or a set that was kind of rolling low for me, and I'll swap it out for another one. Which again seems like something that's almost kind of silly, and if you were anyone outside of the hobby, you may consider it to be that way. I mean, as a rational person, I know that these dice are going to generate numbers randomly, and even though there are times that you roll so many low numbers that you feel that the dice are out to get you, they're not necessarily really doing that, but it's just one of those, again, beliefs or one of those strange things. So I just wanted to know what you guys have for dice habits. How do you feel about people touching your dice? For example, if somebody is rolling massive damage and they need an extra d6, do you mind if they use one of yours? Do they have to ask to use one of yours? If you drop your dice on the floor and it lands near someone but within arm reach still, are you okay with them picking up your dice, or would you rather do it yourself? It's kind of funny because, again, if somebody drops their dice and it lands near me but they can still easily reach it, I'll point to where it is, but I actually won't touch their dice. I just have this thing about not wanting to touch other people's dice without their, consent or permission. So I guess that could be considered another one of those. Now there's some other things that I've seen in the past. I have a friend who, when rolling stats, would make several practice rolls before declaring his first one in an attempt to work the bad numbers out. I've seen people roll all of their d20s, for example, several times, and taking the ones that roll, taking 2 or 3 of the ones that roll the highest and using those for the game. Just some interesting things like that. I know some people that will set their d20s in particular with the 20 facing up, with the belief that eventually just the gravitational pull will kind of pull on its center of gravity and encourage the dice to roll higher, more often. Again, I'm not really sure how well that would work. 'Cause, I mean, if you look around it, the 2's in the same place. So even if that does work, you got 2, 8, and even 10 could be considered sort of a lower number. So yeah, I just want to know what you guys have for habits, like what you do with dice. Do you do any special rituals to before you begin rolling up a character? Do you warm up your dice before the game starts? Would you, for example, use a set of dice fresh out of a tube when you're starting a game, or would you want to roll them a few times? So when I did my live stream one-shot adventure, I bought these dice the day of, and I ended up using them straight out of the tube. I didn't actually, roll them first. I didn't try to, warm them up or anything. I had thought about it, but I didn't actually do it. So again, that's another one of those just interesting facets of D&D. Again, something that makes people that are normally quite rational and not prone to superstition have these weird, unusual beliefs when it comes to their dice. So again, just let me know in the comments below what you guys think, what you guys have for your particular dice habits. Do you separate your dice by sets? Do you place them with the high numbers facing up? Are you okay with other people touching your dice? If somebody touches your dice and you're not okay with it, do you roll it a few times to try to work out the bad mojo? I mean, just like, what is it that you guys do with your dice? Because I'd really like to know. Again, I think it's something that's kind of interesting. It's a quirky element of being a tabletop role player that I don't think necessarily gets discussed a whole lot. I haven't really seen any videos on this subject per se. I've seen some like dice collection videos and things like that, but I've never actually seen people talk about the weird kind of unusual things that they do with dice. I've seen posts online, like a picture of somebody saying that one of their D20s rolled bad, so they put it in the freezer overnight. So again, I'm not going to give out too many more examples because I want to know what you guys do. So please, comment below because I really look forward to reading these and I love these discussion videos. I guess one last question before I end here. If you looked at my dice collection, you'll pretty much see that for the most part, there are no duplicate sets. The closest thing would be to duplicates would be these ones here, which came in the basic set, which I actually still have sealed, or the starter set, sorry, for 5th edition. I have these ones sealed. They're the same as the dice that came with the D&D Essentials 4th edition set with the dice bag here. And I also technically have a third set of these, or a second set of these, but a third set with this style in a sealed starter set that I ended up getting for only like $4. So I guess the last question would be, do you buy all separate sets of dice, or are there certain sets that you like so you buy multiple of? Anyway, that's it. Like I said, I wanted to do a lighthearted discussion video. Last one got a little bit serious, and next week we're going to be back to, again, some of the more serious topics. But again, thank you guys very much for all of your feedback, all of your support, and I really look forward to reading your comments below on this one. Thank you guys very much for watching, and we'll see you next time.